Movie Reviews channel. That was terrible. I am so sorry for that. Hello guys, welcome back to the Spoiled Rot Movie Reviews channel. My name is Ross, and today we're going to be talking about some pirates. Now, I am super excited. I love the Pirates franchise 1 to 4. Before we begin, a few little things to get off the hand. There are going to be 2 episodes today. First is, well, I already spoiled it. It's Pirates of the Caribbean, then 5. And then later on today, you're going to be getting some Baywatch, so look out for that later on today. But before you watch this review, or listen to it, I guess this is audio only. If you have not seen Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, do not listen to this episode. Do not listen to it. Put in your watch later list and just go out and see the movie. If you want a short little review, I think it's really good. I love it. So go out and see it and then come back and we'll just talk about it here, both in the review and in the comments below. Just love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I'll usually try to answer back if I have the time. And yeah, so let's get started on this. So Pirates of the Caribbean 5 kind of picks up after 4, but it's really kind of ignoring 4. 4 kind of just gets ignored in this film, and we're just kind of picking up after at World's End. So we found out that Will Turner, Orlando Bloom's character, he had a kid. And that kid has been trying to set him free from the curse that he has, where he has to be on the Flying Dutchman. He can't leave that ever, according to, because he killed Davy Jones. So now that's his ship. He has to lead the Flying Dutchman. He can't ever leave it. It's his curse. And his son is basically trying to save him from it. And he knows that there's a trident that used to be owned by Poseidon that can break all curses. And all he has to do is find that trident, and he can break the curse. So he's out looking for Jack Sparrow, who he knows can find the trident. He's, the adventurer who never stopped to do anything, the legendary pirate captain. So he's out looking for Jack Sparrow and for this trident. Meanwhile, there's this woman who is basically really smart, but everyone thinks she's a witch because she's smart, which I found hilariously funny. She has the map to the trident, and she's also trying to find it. Her father died, her parents died. She doesn't know where they are. She's an orphan. But she has this map. She knows where it is. She's just trying to escape from all these people who are basically trying to get her killed. And while she's doing that, and also trying to escape execution from the British Empire because she's so smart, people think she's a witch. It's interesting. There is this basically ghost captain who is played by Javier Bardem, who I believe his name is Salazar in the name. I don't remember his first name, but Captain Salazar. That's basically all you need. Who's basically this captain who once fought against Johnny Depp, but lost to him and is now still alive. He's dead, but he's ghostly now. He's trying to catch Jack Sparrow, but he can't. He's locked away in this Devil's Triangle place, and he can't escape. The only thing he could do is basically kill anyone that comes in and tell him to find Jack Sparrow for him. And that's where Will Turner's son comes in. He tells him he's looking for Jack Sparrow, and he's like, "You find him, and you tell him that I'm coming for him." And that if he ever gives up that compass, the compass that he's had for all these films that basically leads him to where his heart desires, that he will be free and he's going to escape. So we're all on board here. And Jack's kind of down on his luck. He at the beginning tries to steal a bank, but it doesn't work out, and he's basically still poor. He has a crew who's basically still not going with him. Even his first mate's kind of like, it's kind of the end here, buddy. We need to just move on. They're all just kind of leaving him, and he's sad. So he has no money. He goes into a bar, and he's like, I just want a bottle of rum. I don't have anything left. And he gives up the compass because that's the only thing he has left to give. And by doing that, he releases Salazar from the prison, and now Salazar's going out and ruling the sea because he gave up the compass for a bottle of rum. After this, basically, Sparrow gets caught, and he along with the the woman who everyone believes is a witch are going to be executed at the same time. But before they are executed, they're saved by Will Turner's son, and they all head out with Sparrow's crew, who returns after Will Turner basically buys it back. He basically gives them each 10 pounds and it's like, or 10 pieces of silver, and it's like, come back, I need you to work for Sparrow again so that we can go out and fight the Trident. So they're all out together again fighting this Trident. Meanwhile, Salazar is also going to look for the Trident because he wants Sparrow dead, and he thinks the Trident can do it. And he's in an agreement with Barbossa, who is back in this film, and I love Barbossa so much. Like, Jeffrey Rush is such an amazing actor. Every time you see Barbossa in this film and you see Jeffrey Rush, it's like, this is the best part of any Pirates movie, beyond one other part, which, you know, we all kind of know it is, but I'll get to it a little bit later. You know, Barbossa's in it, and he's like, listen, I'll get you the Trident, I'll get you Jack Sparrow, just let me take you to him. And they have this accord that they take up, and now they're going after the Trident too. Meanwhile, about all that, the British Empire also wants the Trident because they want to rule the seas. They don't really factor much into this film, if I'm being honest. They have a few scenes played by the guy who's in Iron Fist. I can't remember his name, but it's the guy who plays the evil owner of Rand Enterprises. It's really interesting. I was surprised to see him, and it's like, oh yeah, it's the guy from Iron Fist. So they're all heading out together for this wonderful journey to find the Trident. Eventually, they go out on this ship that's basically dying. I think it's called the Dying Seagull, and they're all heading out to find the Trident. But they get caught up with Salazar and Barbossa, and they track them onto this island where they escape, and we figure out that Salazar and his crew, his ghostly crew, they can't come on land. They can only hunt the sea. They can't go onto dry land. So they're safe on this island, or so they think, until they run up to another part of pirates who basically once knew Jack Sparrow, and they're basically trying to get him to marry like his sister. So it's this huge like comedic bit that's pretty funny, but it's up that Barbossa is able to convince Salazar to let him go on dry land for Salazar so that he can kill Jack Sparrow. But we know that Barbossa actually likes Sparrow. Like, as much as they bicker and stuff, they actually have gone to like each other now. So Barbossa isn't going to kill him. He's actually going to go with Jack Sparrow and the rest of his crew to get the Trident. And the only reason Barbossa is wanting this Trident is so that he can get rid of Salazar off his back, because he wants to rule the seas again. He's had this big, like, lush, posh life that he's been living, and he doesn't want to have some undead pirate captain on his back. So he wants to get this Trident so he can get rid of Salazar. And so now it's these three, Will Turner's son, the lady who is considered to be a witch, Jack Sparrow, and Hector Barbossa. They're all off to find the treasure, while Salazar quickly finds out that, he's been betrayed by Barbossa. But they have to get off the island. Their old ship wrecked when Salazar came and took it over, so they have to find a new ship. Well, it turns out that Jack Sparrow has the Black Pearl, the best ship ever, just hiding in a little bottle, and he's just like, I'm saving it for a rainy day. And his Barbossa's like, it's coming out, son. We're taking the Black Pearl, just get the Trident. And that was so happy when I saw the Trident. Just when I saw the Black Pearl come out of the ship, and it grew, and it was so big, and they had this big heroic return for the Black Pearl, because I love the Black Pearl. It's a character unto itself in these films, and it's just amazing to see it again. I love it. Black Pearl's awesome. That alone just makes me happy. So they're finally able to read the map and stuff, and they're going out. Turns out it's basically reading the stars to find the land. It's basically what sailors would have done later they could do. Instead of having to chart maps, they could just basically read the stars and know where they are. And they finally find the island where Poseidon's Trident is. And they're able to get down into Poseidon's tomb and find the Trident, but Salazar gets to there at the same time, and he's mad. He wants Jack Sparrow's head, and he tries to take the Trident and kill Jack Sparrow, but Will Turner's son is able to destroy the trident in half before before he takes control of the trident, and all curses are broken, which means not only does Will Turner no longer is forced to live under the water with the Flying Dutchman, but Salazar is no longer a ghost. He's back. He's human again. So he's back to normal. But now they have to get out of there, and I always forget Jack Sparrow's first mate, but he's leading the Black Pearl on basically the edge of this like ravine that's right above Poseidon's tomb, and he's hoisting the anchor down so that Jack and his crew can get out there safely. And as they're doing so, they're able to get away, but Salazar catches onto the anchor as well, and they have to get rid of him. And Barbossa is about ready to take him out. He realizes sacrificing his life, and he reveals something to the lady who's considered to be a witch. He reveals to her that he was his father, or was her father, which had been revealed earlier on the ship, but he didn't want to tell her because he had left her at basically an orphanage so that he could continue to be a pirate. He didn't want to be a father and settle down, but now he has to admit the truth. He does it before he dies and says, you're my daughter. This is who you are to me. And then he kills Salazar, killing him too, though. We have to see Barbossa die, which is sad because Barbossa's one of the best parts of any Pirates film, and now he's gone, but oh well, We'll still get one more Pirates movie, but it'll be sad to not have Jeffrey Rush. He was always one of the best parts of any Pirates films, and it's sad to see him go. But yeah, they get away. Jackson back with a ship. Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann reunite, and they are all happily together again. And Will Turner's son and Barbossa's daughter, they both are together now as a couple too. They look to be the new romance that happened after the Will and Elizabeth. So that was all very fun and interesting plot. So as far as the plot goes, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's a little bit all over the place, and it goes from scene to scene. There are characters in it that just kind of disappear randomly and don't matter, like the British Empire people and the guy from Iron Fist. He's barely in it, and when he is, it's just for, him to die. So, like, if I'm being honest, but I have to say that even though it is that case, I kind of like it. It's fun. Like, adventure movies to me are so hard to do, especially nowadays when the stakes for screenwriting and things are so high. Sometimes they don't have to be so, they don't have to be as intelligent as something like Marvel, or even something as intelligent as like the original Indiana Jones trilogy or something like that, where it's all very like intelligently and smartly written. Sometimes it can just be dumb and fun, and that's kind of what I see the Pirates films as, except for the first one. The first one is, I would say, on the level of something from the Indiana Jones original trilogy. But the other ones, I see them as dumb, fun action films. They got good slapstick, they got good action, they got good set pieces. Oh my goodness, if there's an entire scene where Jack is inside a guillotine and he's going up and around, and the blade is like getting right close to his neck and then will go back down and then get right up to his neck and then go back down. And just like the inventiveness of those sort of action set pieces, and that they don't have to use any CGI. They can just use, actual props, and it actually kind of looks real. And that's to me the fun part of Pirates. It's just a fun action film that can use real set pieces and real interesting, props and things. It just, that world to me is so interesting and fun, and I love every minute of it being in it. So yeah, the plot is all over the place. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, no, it's an intelligently written. It's a Pirates film. If you've seen the first film and then you've seen at least one or two of the sequels, you know what this plot is going to be in some case. They have to get an item. They have to have, two lovers who are going with Jack to find the thing. There's an over-the-top villain played by a great actor, in this case, Javier Bardem, who again, excellent. This is an excellent performance by Javier. I love Javier Bardem whenever I see him in, and this is a great villain he plays. He does get stereotyped as a lot as the villain. Like, I guess, No Country for Old Men and Skyfall kind of branded him, but, it's a good role that he gets. I love his gigs, and this is just a great example of that. I understand the people are kind of done with Johnny Depp being an idiot in films, and I am to an extent, but when it comes to Jack Sparrow, it works for me. I can't say that about any other character where he acts like an idiot, within the past 15 years. But when it comes to Jack Sparrow, it's magic in a bottle. Like, it's something you can't ever replace. It's only going to work with Jack Sparrow. You're not going to do it with a Mad Hatter. You're not going to do it with, whatever it was in Dark Shadows that he was trying to do. It doesn't work with Willy Wonka. It only works when he's doing Jack Sparrow. And that's, I think, where he shines so much as an actor in these films. It's a fun performance, and I love it all the way. The two lovers, Will Turner's son and Barbossa's daughter, both do pretty good performances. I like Barbossa's daughter much more than the gentleman who is playing Will Turner's son. But I will say that when it comes to, the male performance that's coming up against Johnny Depp, much better than the gentleman from On Stranger Tides. It's much better than that. It's not going to be ever as good as Orlando Bloom. Like, let's just face it, at this point, Orlando Bloom is the best sidekick to Johnny Depp. But for a close second, I would say this guy. Like, it wasn't as disappointing as the gentleman from On Stranger Tides. This guy actually puts in a bit of a performance. It's somewhat interesting. I don't find it incredibly interesting, but it was interesting enough that I was like, yeah, no, because I think it's that tie with Will Turner that was like, all right, I'm willing to buy it because I like Will Turner, and I'm kind of getting Will Turner vibes from you. Maybe not as much as I would like, but enough that I'm willing to buy into your character. So yeah, I love that. I was fine with that character. And yeah, it's when it comes to these films, you have the good action set pieces. That's important. You have to have at least somewhat competent directing. I feel like in parts that's where On Stranger Tides and even a little bit to some extent at World's End failed. It wasn't completely there directing wise. But the most important thing you gotta have is the soundtrack. Oh, I love the Pirates soundtrack so much. Every single one to me succeeds. It's so iconic, and you know it. And from that moment when you hear the theme, to even just something playing during like an action set that isn't like part of that iconic theme, it just works to me. On every level, I love the soundtrack to these films. If I could listen to these soundtracks 100 times, I would, because they're great on. It's just so adventurous and swashbuckling, and it evokes everything you want out of a movie about pirates. And I cannot stress enough how much I love the soundtrack for these films. Every time you go into a movie, that's the one thing you need to succeed most at when you're doing these films. And every time they deliver, it's a staple of this franchise, and it works so well. I love it so much. Yeah, overall, this is just... it's fun. It's an action blockbuster. It's in the summer. If you don't like the other Pirates films besides the first one, if you don't like the first one, forget this. You're not going to even like this film. But if you like the first one, you weren't so sold on 2, 3, 4, you might get a kick out of this one. It depends. It depends, because I would say this is the second best Pirates film outside of the first one. The first one forever is going to be one of the best action blockbusters that's ever come out, in modern cinema. It's just that good of a film. But this one is a pretty close second. They do have to take a lot from the first film in this one to basically make it that well. Like a ghost pirate ship, the bringing back of the Black Pearl and all that sort of thing. They're bringing it back to its roots for this fifth film, and I appreciated that. It feels like they're trying to go back to that first film's vibe. And yeah, it worked for me. I liked it. I will say though, yeah, if you were pretty down on 2, 3, 4, you might like this one. It just depends on if you're willing to put up with some things that do transfer from those sequels, and if you're willing to go into this fifth film trusting that there is enough there that made the first film great to brought into this fifth film, or if you're just at this point kind of, sick and tired of it. There were a few problems I did have with this film. First off, like I mentioned before, I wasn't totally sold on the I think the guy who played him was Brendan Thwaites was the name of it, which, okay. Yeah, it didn't sell me completely. I didn't completely buy the performance, but as I said again, there was enough there for me to buy it. Also, there was the scene where they're explaining why he's the ghost. Basically this ghost ship, and why he was cursed to live in this devil's triangle until Jack Sparrow freed him because giving up the compass. And I didn't totally buy it. Like, I didn't completely understand why, okay, going into the devil's triangle automatically makes you a ghost and ties you to the compass, and there's revenge. And again, I don't really need to know, but yeah, if you're like looking for plot holes in this film, that's the big one. Another big one is that, okay, so in order to unlock this curse for this pirate, Jack Sparrow has to give up the compass, and basically betray the compass. But Jack Sparrow's done that before. He's given up the compass. I mean, that's not like something he hasn't done before. He's done it several times. He's given it to other people. He's put it like, in like a storage and stuff. Like, this isn't the first time Jack Sparrow has given up the compass, but I guess now it only works because he's doing it for a bottle of rum. So I guess it's like, it's not just him giving it up, it's him betraying it for something lesser than what he, like, instead of going for what he wants and, just mildly putting it aside, he's just giving up everything he wants for a bottle of rum. So, all right, I can kind of buy that, but it's a bit of a plot hole when you consider that he has given up the compass before and given it to other people. They kind of squeeze around it, but it's a bit of a plot hole, honestly. Yeah, Keira Knightley's in this film, but she doesn't say a single word. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but yeah, she's in this film towards the end where she meets up with Will, but she does not have a word to say in this entire thing. Will Turner does have a few things he says. Basically, he's talking with his son, and they have a few dialogues. That's, it's heartbreaking because you love Will Turner if you love these films, and it's sad to see him be like, stuck to this ship that he was cursed in the third film to stay in forevermore. But it's glad you're happy again when you see him back, and he doesn't have to be in the Flying Dutchman anymore. He can be with his love forever. And it's sort of sweet and saccharine and whatnot, but I love it. I love that sort of just sort of sappy romance thing that they set up between the two. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, and that's what I think all these films are. In an extent, it's a guilty pleasure. You can't just go into these films expecting intelligent writing. It's slapstick, it's big action, it's weird, crazy ideas, it's big monsters, it's swashbuckling on an epic level. It's something that you have to thoroughly enjoy, or else you're just not going to be into these films. And that's basically, I think, the idea of this entire film. This doesn't run as long as other Pirates film does. Like, other Pirates films have gone like 2.5 hours, and I thought that's what this film was going to be going in, but it turned out to be only a little bit over 2 hours, which was actually pretty good. It was nice to have it be a little bit more centered and not feel like we have to go for the 2.5 hour epic runtime. You make it a little shorter, make it a little more brief, bring it all in together. That I felt was much better than what they tried to do with like Pirates 4, where it's like, okay, you had already done the big epic original trilogy sort of thing, and now you want to make a fourth film, but instead of cutting it back and trying to bring it back to normal scale so you can build up again, you want to just keep going with that big epic long 2.5 hours length, and I think that weighed on that fourth film. So it's nice to see for this fifth film they cut it back more and brought it back to a more reasonable length time. Although I think they could have cut it back even more, maybe to like maybe 150 or just like a solid 2. You could cut 10 minutes out of this film and I think it would be fine. But especially when you're going to parts about like the British Empire following them or whatever, that part wasn't necessary. You could have cut that out pretty much. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. We did get a post-credit scene, and I called it because I knew that they'd done a post-credit scene for the first film and the second film, and I didn't remember if they had done any for 3 or 4. But I had kind of guessed that they were going to do one for this one because I know they want to finish the film franchise off with the final 6th film and make the Pirates like a 6 film franchise that, and then they cut it off, and then, maybe 10 years later we get a reboot, or even sooner considering how Hollywood's going. But yeah, I knew they were going to try to do something, and they do actually give us one. Will Turner is finally with his love, Elizabeth Swann, and they're sleeping in bed together, and he's having a nightmare, and it's like the shadows walking through the door into their bedroom, and from what it looks like Davy Jones, and it looks like he's gonna strike up and kill both Elizabeth and Will. But Will wakes up and he realizes, oh, it's just a dream. No one's actually there, and he goes back to sleep and he cuddles Elizabeth, and it's cute. And then it cuts into the floor, and there are barnacles on the floor. And so I think that's saying that Davy Jones is going to come back. All curses were broken at the end of this film when Will Turner's son cuts out the Poseidon Trident in half. So now that that's gone, I guess it's possible for Davy Jones to come back. I have to watch the third film again. I kind of am a little bit angry at that film because there's one scene that I cannot stand from that third film, which is Pirate Council. Pirate Council absolutely kills me inside. I hate the idea of Pirate Council, and I hate that the film gave that to me. But going back, I don't think that film was as bad as I gave it credit to when I first saw it. I think it was just the fact that I hate Pirate Council so much that everything around that film just kind of got a sour outlook. I have to go back and rewatch At World's End, and even go back and watch the original trilogy again, because that Pirate Council scene killed me, and that's why I hate At World's End. But I don't think now that my hate is rational. It was just Pirate Council that I hate so much, and that's why the film didn't work for me when I first saw it. So I'll probably go back and watch it again and see if it was as bad as I remembered it to be. I think it was just Pirate Council that I hate so much, and that the rest of the film was like actually the kind of dumb, fun Pirates thing that I love. Yeah, I just hate, when they take a fun action film and turn it down into people sitting in a room talking to each other for half an hour, and that's what Pirate Council is to me. So I hated that. It's over. Maybe I can go back and watch that film again and just skip Pirate Council, because Pirate Council is stupid to me. But yeah, I think that's it for Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales, which is the crown jewel this year of long name titles that just, whether it was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, or the upcoming Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, this summer's just full of names that are overly long, and this one's the crown jewel with like 9 words in it, like Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. If I was like writing a paper on a Microsoft Word online, I would basically just be able to fill up an entire essay just by writing that title over and over again. But either way, guys, was a really great film for me. I love that it kind of tried to go back to that first film's vibe of, adventure and swashbuckling that I think we're kind of missing out of 3 and 4, that they kind of were not hitting, and we wanted to get back to that franchise, and I think 5 hit it again, what that first film did so well. So overall, I would give this an 8. I know that my rating is a bit skewed since I love the Pirates franchise, and I think it's just fun and exciting. Go into this movie and watch it with your own thoughts in it. Don't go in expecting it to be as good as I'm saying it is, because, 8's very high for a film like this. And I expect that a lot of people are not going to rate it an 8, especially seeing the Rotten Tomatoes score so low as it is. But give it a fair chance. Don't immediately poo-poo on the idea. Go into it just expecting to have a fun, swashbuckling adventure with Jack Sparrow. And if that sounds up your alley, I think you're going to have a good time. I don't think you're going to hate this film as much as, you might have hated 3 or 4, which were pretty bad. And, it was like, because I'll say this, if you tolerated 2, Dead Man's Chest, I think you'll have a good time with this one, because I'd say this is even better than 2, and I actually kind of like 2. So I think if you tolerated 2, I think you can do well at 5 here. This is a very great film if you're looking for that like first films vibe. You're getting that. It's a little bit better than 2. It suffers some problems that 2 has, especially with like plot holes and things like that. But overall, I think it's a great film. Go out and see it. Have your own opinion on it. Don't just go off other people's opinion and just claim it as your own. A lot of people surprisingly do that, where they just do whatever the majority thinks and they don't form their own opinion. Don't be that person. Be the person who goes out to films and makes your own opinions on what you see, and just be an active movie fan. And just make sure that you're making your own opinions and your own thoughts about it. Don't just say what everyone else is saying. Well, I think that's it, guys. I've talked your guys' ear off about this movie for about half an hour now. So if you guys have any thoughts about this film, let me know in the comments below. Think what your thoughts on. And while you're here, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and share the good news about this podcast. I'm trying to get this built up and try to become this a thing that I can do weekly. I'm going to keep doing this for at least the end of summer, when I have to go back to college. And I do have plans to do it after summer, but I just have to look at the movie schedule after when school season starts and try to pick out films that I would want to do for reviews, because right now I'm looking at it, there isn't anything that's catching my eye. But I think it's just because we're not close enough to award season yet. And once we start getting into that September range, I can kind of figure out what I want to do for the films that month and for October. Right now for like October, I think I only have like one film that I have picked out for actually reviewing. So I have to go and wait for, more trailers to come out, more news pieces about these films. So right now for the films that are in September and October, I have It in September, and then one film I can't even remember what it was for October. And then the rest is just a bunch of weeks where there's nothing and I don't know what to do. So I have to wait till closer to that time to basically get out reviews for that. But I have plans to at least do this till the end of summer. So if you guys want to see this go on while I'm in college and while I'm doing all this stuff, I'm happy to do it. But I want to get the word out about this and have enough people watching to actually get this to something I can just put all my time and effort into. So if that's what you guys want to see, like, comment, share, get the news out. Let's get this podcast out into the public, into the masses. Well, with that, guys, my name is Ross. You can find me on Twitter at KyloRoss18, and I will see you next time. Keep on going to the movies, guys, and enjoy yourself.